it going, my gaming community? So I have another one here, another video regarding just looking to the carts of NES. So this is Gauntlet II. Many people kind of are familiar with this game, how it works, in and outs, kind of similar to Gauntlet, the first one. So as you can tell, you can see it has, this is a North American, or what we call the NTSC. There's a golden oval with a white inside, so that's indicative of the NTSC. So as you can tell, this one, again, just like any other one, you can play different characters. You can play, I believe, the warrior. I believe, I don't know what you call a female, but I'm showing you here also that there's the black and gold. That's an earlier version. That doesn't mean it's not the NTSC version. It's just an earlier version of the Nintendo games that were produced during this time until they made the switch over to the oval, white and gold. That eventually all, I need to look onto the date. I believe maybe it was 1989 when they did that switch. I don't remember exactly. I gotta look that up. But yeah, so then after that, basically all cartridges. So there are some cartridges, by the way, just letting you know, just like Castlevania, the first one has, there's a black and gold one. It was redone again. They fixed a glitch in there. I forget which the glitch is, but there's two versions, also the white and gold one, oval shape. So that's the second printing, but without that glitch, without that issue that was in the first one. So typically what I do is when I get a box like this, I look at both sides. There should be the sign or that stamp on it if you have a North American one. It's usually in the front and back, and it's on the cart, as you know, who's ever held one of these NES carts. I do like the box art on this one. All the Gauntlet games actually do like the art, even the most recent ones. It's just fairly of that era, very, you know, Conan or Dragon and Warriors type of, type of art. It does come, as all of them came, with a 98-day warranty, so if you're still in the 80s, it's still valid. So this little game is similar as the first one, does not really change so much, as I was saying. It's just I believe in this one, if I remember correctly, it's the warrior. I believe the female's a Valkyrie. You got the elf. I always like the elf because he's the fastest one. You got the mace or the wizard. So you can pick any of these four warriors and go through the labyrinths. As you go through the labyrinths, you open up keys, you fight monsters and demons and spirits, and you got to find your way through them until you go to the next level, and basically make your way through the game. I like it. Some people are not familiar with the Gauntlet series, but it's pretty straightforward. The art is great. I have to look up, honestly, who the artist is. I really do like this art. It's just like I said, so indicative of this era. It's just so well made, that if you see any of this, you kind of know what era it is. I don't see this type of art so much being done these days, but it looks great. As usual, on the back they'll have they had pictures of the games. You kind of get an idea what you're going to be doing. But it doesn't really change that much from the first Gauntlet. So if you're familiar with the Gauntlet series, it's basically a continuance, if you want to think about it that way. But as you know, it was Tengen. So Tengen was done through basically Atari. So Atari eventually got the license to do this, right? And eventually were able to do it. And actually were able to finally, release through the regular NES copies, their games. But that's up for another day. So this one comes with 4 players, so you can go 4-1 or 2-4 players. You would always have to get the adapter to play with the 4 players on this one. That would be sold separately for your NES. But overall, it's just a fun game. And here, usually what I do is I look at this one came with the flaps, so if there is a number there, that if you look at also your number on your NES cart, it should match. They should match the same numbers. So that's kind of a giveaway if there's something going on. The box inside, some NES boxes, not many, came in white inside. Not that many, I believe. Maybe the Spider-Man box is white, and Wizards and Warriors 3 is white. But the majority of if you look at this, it's gray, right? It's kind of like that cereal box look inside. So it shouldn't be white. If you have a white one, it's most likely a reproduction. The manual, for me, this seems pretty plain. If you look at the box art to what's on there, it just doesn't look. It's just very bland, pretty straightforward. White and blue. You see the character. I don't know if that's the warrior. But basically it's pretty plain for what you get from the box art. It's very different. So either way, I think this manual was printed, I believe, in Japan, and also again the number there appears. So that number is like like an ISBN number, like for a book. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the books, but they have a number registration. So too had the NESs. And if you look at the box and your cart and your manual, they all correlate with that number. So that's another way you can look at it. Also, this one did have inside the gold and white oval of the North American version. So that's another thing that you should be looking for when you look at this. So it's pretty, straightforward in the sense that typically that is seen in the first page when you open it. Sometimes it might be a little bit in there, some manuals depending you open, but usually like 99% I would say have it in the first page. And you just go through it. You go through what you're doing, what each character's strengths are, either speed, strength. So some characters can kill really fast, some enemies. Some characters like the elf are really fast. Some kind of have a balance that they're both fast and strong. So it just depends which character fits your type of style. It tells you the enemies. It tells you like the power-ups as well you can get in there. So there are power-ups on this game you can get. Also, you need to get keys to move forward through walls and to different sections, and obviously to progress to the stage. So I would say it's a top-down view. So it's you just looking. You see your character go through these mazes and just make your way through it. So it's basically, again, if anybody plays this Gauntlet game, is pretty straightforward. It does tell you the controllers, what each button does. Obviously, that's always what the manuals did. They would tell you like a little bit of the story of the game. They would tell you then what characters you could play, their power-ups, and then they would follow through like with a controller, how you can move them, with the D-pad, and in this case A and B, and the start and select button would do. So that was pretty standard. That's basically almost a structure for all manuals during this era. I think it's still the same as this era. That's pretty much, if there's any manuals still coming out. And then basically we follow up with a warranty, and basically 90 days typically you'll see, and that's it. And some would have notes in the back, like you could add notes. Some would have scores, so you can add your scores. But in this case, this is just blank. So there's nothing there. As you can see, it's just completely blank. So that's basically the manual, how it looks. So just showing you how to look at it if you do get it. And then that's it. So there's nothing really much to it. Sometimes there was a warning on the back like this one that would tell you, like, don't use alcohol, don't dump your cart in water, don't leave it in the sun. Basic stuff you should know, but there was still that warning. I guess people were, I don't know, dropping their carts in water or something. But either way, pretty basic standard format that they have from the manuals. So there it is, pretty plain from what you see in the cart, which I was surprised. Really different, but again, just showing you how it correlates with the numbers, the name. It's just a way to kind of make sure you have the cart, at least the outside, because you got to open it up and make sure it has everything. This one came, there's two versions that I believe of the plastic cover. There's a one that's a Nintendo and one that's black. This one came with a Nintendo one, the sign. So doesn't mean because you had a complete black one it wasn't the original. Yes, there was. Just as some came with that Nintendo logo, as you can see on this one, on the plastic cover, right? And typically these would survive, so there's a lot of them out there. Because again, it's plastic. What's less, I don't know, didn't make it was actual card, right? So the cardboard box people usually threw away or got crushed, or it's just very flimsy type of material. So here we're getting a better look at it. We're seeing, I'll typically say, the date that it was published, the game, where was it published, and then who published it. So it's pretty standard. Typically also the image of itself would cover the whole front label. This is actually bordered by a white label, which is not very common for the NES. Usually it would cover the majority of the label. In the back it's the same thing, caution, but as well there's little indentation numbers in there. So if you don't see indentations, obviously that's an issue too. It might be that back cover doesn't mean you don't have the original card. It might be that maybe it faded away, which I doubt that, or it got replaced most likely because it was damaged and someone just bought a replacement, just covered it, and it's not the original sticker. So just watch out for that. But it did come with the numbers indented, so that's another thing you need to look. It has a basic structure, the three screws. There was not a 5-screw version of this. Those are the earlier versions. So right there I'm just kind of showing you how people would pull out the carts. That's the way. That's why there's a little dent in there, and where to push when you put it into your NES. And then basically it's just a standard for this era that the carts were made. So, but overall, I mean, it's a pretty fun little game, fairly straightforward. Again, there's the 3 screws, so there's no 5-screw one. So if you get 5-screw, let me know, because they shouldn't be a 5-screw one, but this is a 3-screw one. So this basically became the standard for the NES carts for this particular era. Using a bit just to kind of open it. So it's really just 3. Just unscrew all 3, and then basically just flip open, and the cart you open, and you can see the circuit board. So, and I would always say, make sure. I'm sure everybody knows lefty loosey, righty tighty. So remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. You don't want to tighten these more than you need to, because, well, it's plastic, and basically you're talking almost like over probably a 30-year-old game, right? So, if not 40. So, just be careful when you're opening them. Make sure the little screws do pop off, and they can be very hard to find. So, just make sure when you take this off that you can either flip it over, put the screws down, or take them out individually. Or when you pop it up, leave it upside up, so that way the screws don't come off. But just depends on your technique. But just be careful, because those screws, I've had the issue that they suddenly pop off and forget about it. You just can't find them. So this circuit is a little bigger. So people always say, "Oh, why is it so big, the cart?" And some circuit boards were fairly big. Some actually took up the whole space. Contrary to what people think, but it was not that many. But this is fairly clean. If you look at the pins, look at that. Just contact pins is just incredible. This game has not been played at all. So it has a CIC chip. You see it right there, kind of blurry, but there it is. That you're gonna find in all the games, but this is how it's supposed to look. You have your ROMs there, as you can tell, and then you have your processor. This is a little different processor that you guys seen before, but here I'm kind of just showing you where the little holes are that you can put it back into your cart. But here it's just I just find these circuit boards just so fascinating. It's just so simple what they did, and just so very basic technology that, what they did with it is just amazing. So very clean, this circuit board. Again, does not appear that it was played at all. So as you can tell, there's a ROMs, and you can see the processor right there in the middle. So it's a little different from your common ones. From your majority of NES games have like the CIC and your 2 ROMs, and that's it. So that's basically almost like the majority, but this is just a little bit more different. It has a little bit probably more memory, a little bit more processing going on. So, but I don't remember this game being that big, in the sense that there was that many levels in it. More than the original one. I could be wrong, but the graphics kind of look the same in my opinion. They don't look that different. So I gotta compare it to the original one. There's the Tengen one. That would be Gauntlet, the first Gauntlet. So either way, this is very clean for as many years it has. Again, this is a very popular genre back then. Gauntlet, everybody knows about it. So this is how when you open up, you should see the NES label in there inside the circuit board. You should be seeing these 3 ROMs. You should be seeing the CIC chip. Basically, that's a lock-off chip. So without that, if that chip wasn't there, the one on the left, the thin one, the smallest one, then it wouldn't play on your NES, because that's basically the one that allowed it to play on the system, right? So that's key. You have to see that in 100%. I'm not going to go 900% of all your circuit boards. This one had a little bit more memory, like I said, had a little processor in there, which is a little different. You don't see that often, but you do see it in circuit boards. Here I don't, this is how it is. I don't know why, again, here they have it. I don't remember the game doing that much. Maybe it is a little fast. I believe it's a little faster, so it might be that's the reason. I don't know. Maybe they put more bosses in more enemies, so there could be more enemies, so need a little bit more processing. Maybe that's why. I'm trying to figure out why they would do this or why they would need this. But I do remember on the first one there was, and it kind of slowed down. The first Gauntlet, you would have a lot of stuttering, a lot of lag. But maybe they did it to kind of overcome that lag and put more characters out there, more sprites when you're playing on the screen. But anyways, so that's how it's supposed to look. Just put it back into this. You have the little grooves. Put it back in there. It's, again, just top to bottom clips. There's the 2 little clips. Bring it down. Pretty straightforward. Screw it to the right. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. And basically that's how it's supposed to look. If you own this game, if you open it up, check it out. That's how it's supposed to look, your circuit board. If it doesn't look like that, I don't believe there was that many different kind of variants they made. There's probably only one they published. So some, just FYI, some circuit boards might have more than one format, because they published them more than one, or like there was an issue, like example Castlevania, the first one, and then they redid it again because there was an issue with it, with like a little glitch. And I'm talking about the black and gold versus the white and gold oval shape. But yeah, this game, I actually like it. I think it's pretty straightforward. Make your way through it. Make your way through the levels. It is beatable in my opinion. It just takes a little time. I will go with the elf, but if you want to go with the warrior or the wizard, it's a little bit slower. If you want to go maybe in the middle ground, I believe that's the Valkyrie, the female warrior. So she's probably like, even she's not as slow, she's not as fast as the elf, but she's not as strong as the as the warrior, but she's more stronger than the elf. The elf obviously shoots arrows, and obviously the mage or the magician uses magic, right? His staff. So, but yeah, this is everything it's supposed to come with. This is what they call CIB. I believe this came with a poster, but I don't have it. But there's sometimes added little extra little things, little extra little paperwork. But usually when people say CIB, complete in box, if you guys know the acronym, it's usually what they're talking about is the box, the manual, the game. That's, just think about it that way. Yeah, when you think CIB, it comes with everything. It should have like the poster. It should have, the extra little, like sign up for Nintendo Power, or, here's a catalog. But no, it's just CIB just means, typically the box and manual in the game. That's what it means. So, just letting you know if you don't know this and you're just getting into collecting the NES. I'm just showing you here the plastic protectors. Yes, you definitely want to buy them. They're fairly cheap still these days. This is 2024, so they're not that expensive, but it's worth protecting them because insects, animals, water, just it's cardboard, so it's fairly easily damaged. And again, there's more and more. You can get more and more of the circuit boards, so the carts of the NES versus the boxes. So, but this is a great game. I think it's a great game. It's worth playing, at least give it a go. It's not that difficult. Once you get in it once or twice, and you figure out what you need to do, it does kind of bring you in. So, anyways, so you can go ahead and look at yours if you have this one. I think it's fairly cheap. It's not that expensive still, so it's a good game to pick up. It's not going to break the bank. So that's basically it. That's how it looks. Go for it. Let me know what you think, and subscribe and like and all that good stuff.